Welcome to the latest episode of To Boldly Pod Expedited Review. Just a few things to talk about today, and hopefully we can get through them without anybody getting their panties in a bunch, as my mother used to say. But hey, we're talking about sports, so we know that's not going to happen. Let's start with yesterday's game between the Chicago Bears and my Detroit Lions. The Lions got the win, and all those people saying that the sky was falling. It was it for the Lions after their loss to the Buffalo Bills. Seemed to have kind of changed their tune because yes, people will say, well, it was just the Bears. And what are the Bears right now? They've lost 8 games in a row. Well, yeah, they have, but they're still an NFL football team. And it was on the road. Another thing that people said the Lions couldn't do, they couldn't win on the road. Well, you know what, folks? They're undefeated so far this year on the road. Their 2 losses are actually at home. So, yeah, they can't win in the cold. Kind of cold yesterday in Chicago. Won that game. Can't win in bad weather. Well, about a month or so ago, they played in a monsoon in Green Bay. Won that game too. So let's just calm down on the Lions just a little bit. Do I think they're as strong as a favorite as they were before the influx of all the injuries? No. Do I think they have weaknesses, specifically on the defensive side? Yes. But that offense, I mean, come on. Even the most dispassionate, hate filled Bills fan or Packer fan or Bear fan or Viking fan will have to say that Lions offense is something to be reckoned with. You have to be ready. If you're not on your game, they're going to put up some points. And that's exactly what they did, even with all of the injuries. But before we continue into that little bit of a topic, let's talk a little bit about the Bears, because watching a lot of the other videos that get made of Chicago centric ones, man, are they all over the Bears. These are the same people, and I'm not just going to blame the fans because take no issue with the fans being excited at the beginning of the year. We've got Caleb Williams, Mr. 1-1 in the draft, the savior of the Chicago Bears. I have no issue with those people thinking that the Bears were going to be good this year, make the playoffs, compete for the Super Bowl, all of that. That's part of being a fan. That's what we do. I mean, hell, way back when the Lions were 0-16, I'm pretty sure me and a bunch of Lion fans walked into that season thinking we got John Kitna. We're gonna be pretty decent this year. We got this young guy named Kelvin Johnson, and yeah, we're gonna be all right this. We might not win the Super Bowl, but we're gonna be good. Did we think it was gonna be 0-16? No, we didn't. But you know what? Things happen. It's football. Nothing's ever planned, even though the conspiracy theorists out there will say that everything is planned. And we're going to get to that here in just a little while. But I don't blame the Bears fans for being all excited. They got the shiny new quarterback, the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams, the savior of Soldier Field. And hasn't quite worked out for him. And I have a little bit of an issue because I said in my preseason To Boldly Pod episode that I don't understand what all the hype was around Caleb Williams, because what did he do in college? Nothing. Nothing at USC, nothing at Oklahoma. Does he have a first class 5-star arm? Absolutely. Is he a great football player? was pretty decent in college. Wouldn't call him great. Heisman Trophy, all of that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But that was college. Totally different game in the pros. And Bears fans listening and watching right now will probably screaming at me saying he hasn't thrown an interception in 8 games. Yeah, yeah. Every single quarterback that is considered the greats out there has thrown interceptions. And you know why those great quarterbacks throw interceptions? Because they have supreme confidence in their arms and think they can make every single throw. And every once in a while, the defense wins and picks them off. And I think that's kind of the problem with Caleb Williams now is if his first read isn't there and wide open, he's checking the ball down. He's really not taking any chances with his throws. Now, that being said, that throw he had to Mike Evans at the end of the first half yesterday in the Lions game, that was a first class throw. We'll put aside the fact that Terry and Arnold kind of broke the cardinal rule of prevent defense. Keep everybody in front of you. Don't bite on the double move. And for God's sakes, don't let anyone behind you. That's what he did. He's a rookie too, so he's going to learn. And I think Caleb Williams will learn. Do I think he's going to be a great? Time will tell. He has all of the talent. He definitely has the arm. He seems like a smart dude when it comes to football acumen. So, do I think he's going to be the savior of the Bears? I don't know. Most Bear fans out there, and if you are one, you can probably agree with me, blame all of it on the executives, the upstairs of the Bears. It just seems like it's an absolute dumpster fire in Chicago right now. They get rid of their coach. Last year they got rid of their coordinator. This year they bring in a guy to be a passing game coordinator. Just a few weeks later, he's the offensive coordinator of the football team. And just a couple weeks after that, he's now the head coach of the team. So clearly there's going to be some changes in Chicago. Does that mean that everything's going to be right with the world if they make the right signing? Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that there needs to be a complete house cleaning, at least in the executive level of the Bears, before any of that can start to happen. Happened here in Detroit just a few years ago after we tried the Patriot Way experiment. That was an utter failure. Sheila Hamp came in, took over the team from her mother, and hired the regime that's in charge now. And look, just 3 years later, what the Lions have gone from a laughing stock to perennial Super Bowl contenders. I'm not going to say favorites because people are still up in arms about losing to the Bills and all the injuries that have occurred to the Lions. And I actually had to go on social media after that Bills game, and people were just so up in arms like, that's it. We're not going to win the Super Bowl now. There is no way that we can do it. Not with all these injuries. 22 players just on the defensive side of the ball on injured reserve this year. There's no way. And I had to get on there and say, just breathe. You know what? They're not 2-12. They're 12-2. Now, after the Bears game, they're 13-2. Are the chances as great now that they're going to make the Super Bowl? No. The injuries at some point are probably going to hurt you. See the Bills game where the defense couldn't stop Josh Allen if they wanted to. But yeah, on the flip side of that, look at the Bills this week. They went and played, which could possibly be the worst team in the NFL in the New England Patriots at home and really were at risk of losing that game until the last few minutes. So, yeah, things can happen in the NFL. Do I think the Lions are still the favorites? No, but I think they're one of the handfuls of teams that can get there and possibly win. That being said, I would just like the Vikings for once to cut us a little bit of slack because every time it seems the Lions get a little bit of breathing room, the 4:30 games happen and somehow the Vikings eke out another win. We got lucky with the Eagles losing to the Commanders. I almost said the Redskins. Much prefer football team. That was so perfectly Washington. But hey, the Eagles lost. Why can't the I thought sitting there watching it, I'm like, are the Lions going to get some help? Are the Seahawks actually going to beat the Vikings? And then no, they didn't. So kudos to Minnesota because they just keep winning. It really looks like it's going to come down to the last game of the season. It's going to be hard for me next week to be rooting for Green Bay, but I will be because they really need to beat the Vikings. Yeah. Anyways, if the Lions just win their last two games, it's not going to matter. They're going to get the number one seed. And as it could turn out, if the things work out and they end up in the Super Bowl, they could be playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I am far from a referee conspiratorial person that a lot of fans are out there. Matter of fact, I, for the most part, live my sports life as I get angry over bad calls, but I tend to realize that they, more times than not, they even themselves out in a game. And there's actually a time earlier this year that I was seeing all these people saying the Lions are starting to get all the calls and getting all the breaks and everything. And I had to laugh at that because you clearly don't know the history of this football franchise if you think that the Lions are getting all the breaks. Let's just think of the catch rule, the Kelvin Johnson catch rule. That's one that went against us. Let's just go with, say, the phantom pass interference call that wasn't called when a Cowboy player tackled a tight end. And not only that, did one of the Cowboys players run off the sidelines with his helmet off into the playing field. No penalty called on that. Can we talk about last year's Dallas game where the Lions did everything above board and by the rules and reported as tackle eligible, ran the play, scored on the play, and then a few minutes later they threw a flag and say they didn't report when the replay video showed both tackles going to the referee and reporting. So yes, the Lions get all the calls. It's what happens with good teams, though. Sometimes you get the benefit of the doubt, and everybody is all over the Chiefs now, getting all the calls for everything. And I just kind of rolled my eyes at all of this, thinking you're just playing the conspiracy that they're trying to get the Chiefs into the Super Bowl again because of the whole Travis Kelsey. And yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. I laughed at all those people saying that the Chiefs are getting all the calls because you got to think the good players, the good teams always get the benefit of the doubt from the referees. Just think of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, all those years with the Patriots getting the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, I didn't think there was this big giant conspiracy, this big giant cabal that the NFL was out helping the Kansas City Chiefs win football games until I watched this game on Saturday between the Chiefs and the Texans. And there were a few plays in that game that I was left scratching my head. Specifically, the offensive pass interference play on the Texans, where even the announcers were like, there's no way that can be offensive pass interference, but yet they called it somehow. Helped out the Chiefs. All right, fine. Bad call. And then just a few plays later, there was the phantom incomplete pass with Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, you watch the replay, his arm's coming forward. There's no football in his arm, which translates to anyone that's watched one game of football in their life that constitute a fumble. And they called it an incomplete pass. But wait, there's more. Because a few minutes later, they threw a flag for roughing the passer. Replay again shows there was absolutely positively no way that could be roughing the passer. And it was a fumble. So yeah, I get why people get worked up because those were two very egregious calls that went for the Kansas City Chiefs and probably cost the Texans the game. Now, going back to the conspiracy side of that, do I think the refs are helping them out, helping them get to the Super Bowl? No, I don't think the NFL has this grand plan to get the Chiefs to the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift, Travis Kelsey, Taylor Swift. Do I think the NFL is cashing in on the fact that the biggest superstar on the planet is dating one of their players right now? Yes, I do. They're always trying to expand their brand, so to speak. Get out there, earn more money. And if the NFL does one thing correctly, they earn money. But do I think it's a big giant conspiracy trying to get the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelsey? I'm not ready to go that far yet. But I will say after that game Saturday, I'm a little closer to the middle than the absolute denier in all of that. Because as a Piston fan back in the day, boy, did I hate the Jordan rules because everything always seemed to go Jordan's way. But hey, like I just said a few minutes ago, the superstars, the top of the cream of the crop, always get the benefit of the call. That being said, if you have any thoughts, keep your conspiracies because I've heard them all and I'm still not ready to buy in. Not even buying into the Super Bowl logo colors, blah, 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 blah. If you have thoughts, let me know on Facebook at Too Boldly Pod. And until next time, I don't have a closer for this, so I'll just simply say there was a flag on the play.